Long, long time ago, when the postal system was modernized, the chronically overworked Postmaster General overlooked two tiny post offices. One tucked away in the rolling hills of Somersetshire, the other somewhere in London. After unsuccessfully awaiting modernization, these two offices continued with their quiet lives until one day their daily routine was violently disrupted by the letters of Lady Susan, the most accomplished coquette in England. To avoid another scandal on social media, Lady Susan had now taken to letter writing, and her letters were eagerly expected by the two post offices through which all of these letters coincidentally passed. What with the secrecy of the letter no longer being what it used to be, Lady Susan's letters soon ceased to be private after all.
Marianne, I'm sorry I missed your arrival. I was out on my rounds. Such lovely weather today. Did you arrive well?
Thank you so much, Janice. Yes, I came not long ago, and Mrs. Clark and the others were so nice. There was even cake.
We left you some as well, Janice.
Oh, thank you.
Now Catherine said we have a letter to read to the London people.
The London people. You acclimatize very quickly, dear. Actually, we even have two letters.
Yes, I have one and Michael has the other. He should be here any minute now.
Oh, goody goody, you're here already. Marianne, how's Churchill? How's Isabella?
Lovely as ever. Both, I mean.
Well, let's not keep the young people waiting. Michael, you have a letter for us, right?
Indeed I do. It's from that lovely Lady de Courcy to Mrs. Vernon.
Very good. Once you're done with that, give it to me and to... Very good. Once you're done with that, give it to me and I can take it up to the house.
No need, Janice. This letter is actually a photocopy. I delivered the original yesterday.
Yesterday? Why didn't you call us yesterday then?
Well, you had all gone home already by the time I came back.
True. We all left early yesterday to prepare for Marianne's arrival.
Well, that's certainly all right then. Thank you for photocopying the letter, Michael.
You're welcome. Like I said, this letter is from Lady de Courcy to Mrs. Vernon. My dear Catherine, I have charming news for you, and if I had not sent off my letter this morning, you might have been spared the vexation of knowing of Reginald's being gone to London, for he is returned. Reginald is returned, not to ask our consent to his marrying Lady Susan, but to tell us they are parted forever. He has been only an hour in the house, and I have not been able to learn particulars, for he is so very low that I have not the heart to ask questions. But I hope we shall soon know all. This is the most joyful hour he has ever given us since the day of his birth. Nothing is wanting but to have you here, and it is our particular wish and entreaty that you would come to us as soon as you can. You have owed us a visit many long weeks. I hope nothing will make it inconvenient to Mr. Vernon, and pray bring all my grandchildren, and your dear niece is included, of course. I long to see her. It has been a sad, heavy winter hitherto, without Reginald and seeing nobody from Churchill. I never found the season so dreary before, but this happy meeting will make us young again. Frederica runs much in my thoughts, and when Reginald has recovered his usual good spirits, as I trust he soon will, we will try to rob him of his heart once more, and I am full of hopes, seeing their hands joined at no great distance. Your affectionate mother, Catherine de Courcy.
Oh, goody goody, that's lovely news. As I said, all will be well.
Looks like you were right after all.
So the letter I just took from the house is probably her response.
Oh, check it quickly, my dear.
It is.
Oh, please read it, Janet.
My dear mother, Your letter has surprised me beyond measure. Can it be true that they are really separated and forever? I should be overjoyed if I dared depend on it, but after all that I have seen, how can one be secure and Reginald really with you? My surprise is the greater because on Wednesday, the very day of his coming to Parklands, we had a most unexpected and unwelcome visit from Lady Susan, looking all cheerfulness and good humour, and seeming more as if she were to marry him when she got to London than as if parted from him for ever. She stayed nearly 2 hours, was as affectionate and agreeable as ever, and not a syllable, not a hint was dropped of any disagreement or coolness between them. I asked her whether she had seen my brother since his arrival in town, not, as you may suppose, with any doubt of the fact, but merely to see how she looked. She immediately answered, without any embarrassment, that he had been kind enough to call on her on Monday, but she believed, but she believed he had already returned home, which I was very far from crediting. Your kind invitation is accepted by us with pleasure, and on Thursday next, we and our little ones will be with you. Pray heaven Reginald may not be in town again by that time. I wish we could bring dear Frederica too, but I am sorry to say that her mother's errand hither was to fetch her away, and miserable as it made the poor girl, it was impossible to detain her. I was thoroughly unwilling to let her go, and so was her uncle, and all that could be urged we did urge, but Lady Susan declared that as she was now about to fix herself in London for several months, she could not be easy if her daughter were not with her for masters, etc. Her manner, to be sure, was very kind and proper, and Mr. Vernon believes that Frederica will now be treated with affection. I wish I could think so too. The poor girl's heart was almost broke at taking leave of us. I charged her to write to me very often, and to remember that if she were in any distress, we should be always her friends. I took care to see her alone, that I might say all this, and I hope made her a little more comfortable, but I shall not be easy till I can go to town and judge of her situation myself. I wish there were a better prospect than now appears of the match which the conclusion of your letter declares your expectations of. At present it is not very likely. Yours ever, Catherine Vernon.
We missed Lady Susan when she was here.
So the colourful Lady Susan has returned to town.
I'm taking her lovely daughter with her. Let's hope she'll be happy and tell Frederica I'm here.
The Vernons are leaving as well.
Sorry, dear Marianne, but it appears as if everyone is leaving us right the moment you arrive. Looks like our entertainment has come to an end.
Well, I for one am sorry that this has been resolved, but I will certainly follow the papers closely again. This woman simply can't live without a scandal.
Well, much as I'd rather not admit it, this has been fun indeed, Patricia.
And it even had a happy ending, didn't it, Marianne? Well, everyone, let's continue having tea together sometime, shall we?
Are you saying you are going to use that infernal device willingly now?
If you're referring to my computer, then yes, I will. Just to see you all from time to time.
What lovely last words. Then I shall see you soon. And bye-bye.
Bye, Cecily.
Yeah, well, take care.
The correspondence between all parties concerned, by a meeting between some of the parties and a separation between the others, could not, to the great detriment of the post office revenue, and much to the regret of the postal workers at Churchill and London, be continued any longer. After some time, Mrs. Vernon visited Lady Susan and Frederica in London to ensure that Frederica's life had not become unbearable, which it had, and to see if Lady Susan's behaviour had somehow miraculously improved, which it had not.
Mrs. Vernon had also come to town to persuade Lady Susan to allow Frederica to return to Churchill, and after much perseverance on Mrs. Vernon's part, she succeeded and left together with Frederica. Only 3 weeks after, Lady Susan married Sir James. While initially seemingly eager to have Frederica back in London, Lady Susan was easily persuaded to let her continue at Churchill, and after 2 months, she stopped asking her to come back to London. Another 2 months later, Lady Susan no longer thought of Frederica at all, and Frederica remained with the Vernons until such time as Reginald de Courcy could be talked, flattered, and finessed into an affection for her. It seems the great losers of this story were the Mannerings. Mr. Mannering heartbroken, Mrs. Mannering separated from her husband, and Miss Mannering cheated out of her hopes of securing the affections of Sir James. But of this, our friends at the post offices were ignorant, as the papers would not write about the Mannerings at all. In fact, after Lady Susan's marriage, no tabloid showed any more interest in her or her family. To amend that, Lady Susan took to social media again, with little success. Life at the post offices soon returned to normal, and the 2 postmistresses were again the happy and more or less blameless leaders of their respective staff. They kept up their weekly tea times, but never again opened anybody's letter. In due time, Michael Hardcastle got married and continued gossiping in secret with whoever was willing to join him. Jacob King remained a contented and loving grandfather and made Marianne feel right at home in Churchill. Marianne Brandon and Isabella Morland soon moved out of the Morlands' home and shared a flat with Catherine Thorpe. Janice Norton and Cecily Clark agreed that while this episode had been somehow entertaining, they preferred their regular lives. Julia Marie Clarkenfeld never overcame her abhorrence of the internet, but made her peace with Catherine, who gave her a new goldfish for her office aquarium for her birthday. All was well at Churchill. At London, Sandra Tay had started loosening up just a little bit, and her daughter Zoe had started babysitting Thomas Ford's daughter Daisy. A few weeks later, Thomas was probably even more excited than Daisy when she started school, and Patricia Kahn had to give him a few days off to get used to the situation. Helen Cho, while mocking him relentlessly, however proved to be a good friend and helped out by asking her own parents how to parent. They were eager to help, and Patricia invited everyone to tea at her own house to celebrate. The Churchill people naturally joined, and for once nobody argued. And they lived happily ever after.
I'm very fond of cats. I mean, I'm using my cat cup again. So.
Well, if you ask me, I'd rather have an office cow, apparently, if we're going.
Milk? That would be cute.
No, I wouldn't like a cow in my office, to be honest. It's way too big. I could deal with a cat, I guess.
That could cause an obstruction to our work.
Exactly.
Honestly, Cecily, I think a cow might be even more distracting.
That's why I said I would never want an office cow. I considered the cat, but now I'm quite convinced that it's gonna be a distraction as well. also.
All right, everybody, hands up. Who wants an office cow?
Mrs. Khan, can we get one, please?
No, we cannot.
I have to check the Postmaster General about the resources for buying an office cow.
Not to have an office cow.